Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.
What's going on, guys? This is Boss Roll here with your collective reading for the month of August. All right, guys, if you like this reading, please like, share, subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Let's get started with your energy. So I pulled from the Pocket Animal Spirit deck here, okay? And the energy that I pulled for you guys was the Swan and the Wolf. And the energy that's in your environment is the Vulture and the Tarantula, okay? So you can have someone that's circling around you guys right now, okay? I'm feeling from this energy a sense of like an anxious attachment. This person could really see you as someone who they really want to cultivate like a friendship or a relationship with. It could be someone that you're working with, and they see you as someone that's like really motivated in your job, and they're really fixated on really developing the interaction with you. Okay. And I think you guys are really just in a space where you're just sort of cultivating your own goals and being in your own lane right now. Okay. And like I said, nothing's wrong with that. And I think, it's all about, seasons, and some seasons is more so of a reflective time where you're like looking to really do your own type of growth process for yourself. And this person doesn't really seem to understand that. Okay. With that anxious attachment, when you have somebody in that type of narrative, they're used to sort of like being in a space where they're trying to prove their worth to people in their environment. Okay. And this could have been successful for this person. They could work around people and they're like, they use their charm to sort of like, get into people's good graces. And you're sort of not even looking in their direction. Okay. You're focused solely on your goals. You guys could be in a situation where you're in a space where you're working and it's just like a short-term type thing. And this person is looking at you like from a long-term investment. And you're not even in a space to give that because you got a lot of things going on. Some of you guys could be in a space where, you have family interactions that's taking the focal front. Could be, like I said, you guys are in a new relationship or you just sort of cultivating with your partner now. And you're like, you have so many different things on your plate that, having a new interaction is something that you're just not looking to invest in. Okay. I think this person sees that, you still had this, like, that caring energy and that magnetism that brings people towards you. And I think people in your environment see that and say, okay, well, we got the collective. They're doing really good. They're doing great in their work environment, but they know how to place you in a proper type of boundaries. They're looking at you from a very healthy minded adult perspective. This person's looking at you from a wounded child perspective. Okay. And what's going on in this situation is you have this person that's trying to, do any means necessary to get your attention. Like I said, this could also be a neighbor too. You guys are in a new environment and you have someone that's like, trying to really penetrate through your boundaries. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm cool with being nice and polite to my neighbors around me. But at the end of the day, I know when to say, okay, I know when to put the brakes on situations because this person could be, like I said, new, a fresh energy in your space, and you're like, there's only so much investment that I really want to do. And this person's not really getting that memo. They're not understanding that because, like I said, they could look at it from a wounded type of child perspective where they could have been raised where they had parents around them and they didn't really have that type of nurturing atmosphere. The parents around them could have been kind of rejected when it came down to like, how they are as a person or how they, when it comes down to like, really achieving their personal goals, they could have been like, pushed to the side with other siblings taking the focal front. All these things are personal issues, guys. And I think you guys are really in the space where it's like, okay, I'm not even trying to do a deep dive on this personality type that's in my environment. I just want to just be in the space where I'm able to focus on my goals, in the right type of manner. Okay. You guys could be like in a space where you're, heavily looking in the job market. You guys could really be in a space right now where you're also trying to grow in your new career field. Okay. Some of you guys could be in a new career environment where you just sort of focus on the pathway ahead. Okay. And this person around you, they have this like childlike mentality. You sort of peeped it a mile away. Okay. And one thing about Swan energy, it's that intuitive energy where you sort of know how a person and their attitude or the way that their mindset is naturally geared, you sort of see it being traumatic. You sort of see that trauma sort of being in the focal front of their interaction. Okay. Because you're seeing that this person has no type of understanding when to like pull back and you see that they would do anything to get people to like have this like positive atmosphere with them, or this positive interaction with them, even if it's through lying. Okay, like I said, being in the web. Okay, this person's good as far as like throwing a web with individuals that don't really know about manipulation, and you guys sort of see that. You're like, okay, yeah, I don't have no time to really go into this manipulative type of interaction. I know where this person is, and you have the respect factor as an adult to say, hey, I respect you as an adult. I respect you as a colleague. I respect you as a neighbor, but I know my limitations. Okay, and this person is really in a space where they're not able to sort of see that. They also could be in a space where the admiration is turning into jealousy. Okay, and sometimes with that anxious attachment, a lot of times that nature can turn into a jealous type of perspective, because that person is feeling that sense of rejection and they don't know how to deal with it. So with that rejection, they could get really destructive when it comes down to their environment. Okay, and their environment is with you. They're not seeing that. Okay, with you being in a swan energy and having that inner wisdom, you're seeing what they're doing. Okay, you're seeing what they're doing. Like I said, you could have had someone, if this is a new neighbor, they could have called the police off of like situations that had no warrant for, like the police being called. Okay, it could have been something that they made up, and they had someone coming to your door, and the police is looking like, whoa, what's going on? I don't see any problems here. What's going on? And you're looking like, I have no idea why this person did this. And because you're so in your own little mind and your own little narrative, as far as like, being in your healthy healing space, and nothing's going to try to take you out that type of healthy energy that you have going for yourself, even if the person is trying to like, try to circle back around repeatedly. And that's something that's like, that's really throwing this person off, guys, because they don't know how to handle the swan energy. Okay. Like I said, they could have this perspective where it's like when they see something shiny, okay, rather be like a shiny personality, could be some of you guys, like I said, could be attraction, could be like someone like I said, having that like that work magnetism. They always feel that they have to have that ownership or take ownership of this individual in their life, because this gives them validation. Okay, and you guys are no longer playing that game. They're trying to play the game where they're trying to web you into their environment. They're trying to web you into a toxic situation, but you guys are taking in that wolf energy. Okay, and that thought process, like, okay, you know what, I'm going to approach this from an earth sign perspective, and you're really, using your practicality. It could be, like I said, talking to higher ups in your department as far as like how this energy is really, being overwhelming or overbearing towards you. Okay, and you're giving them the information really straight and very straightforward to say, hey, I'm not going to be in the space where I feel that someone is not respecting my boundaries. Okay, and for some reason I'm getting that this vulture energy doesn't realize that you had this type of wolf mentality. Okay, where you can sort of like turn into like having that like that outward appearance where it's like, okay, that happy-go-lucky, calm nature. They don't realize that you're able to like fight back in your environment to say, no, this is not working, and this is not like appropriate behavior. And you're able to like have that practical wisdom to understand what's going on. Okay, this person's so used to manipulating, and they're so used to people believing in anything and everything that they have to say, and they're seeing with you that it's not working. Okay, that's like I said, in life, is you're not learning, sometimes you're learning the hard way, and this person, like I said, is learning the hard way from you guys to say, hey, you know what, I need to do some inner work in myself, because this person that I'm connected with, like I said, this could be someone that had like a romantic interest in you, and you just didn't reciprocate the feelings back. They're realizing that no means no, that they're not gonna like go past your boundaries. When someone's saying like, okay, you guys could have said like in a nice way where it's like, no, I'm not interested in a relationship at this time period, or no, I don't want to really move forward with this interaction in a friendship direction. A lot's going on, and they took this as a like as a joke, really, guys, as a joke. They took it as like, okay, well, this person here, they give that illusion of oh, they're sweet and kind. If I sort of can overstep or sort of like browbeat my way past their boundaries, then they're going to do what I want them to do, because they're used to controlling. And they're finding out that you're not one to play with. Okay, like I said, the fire in the background, some of you guys, like I said, you're slow to anger, but you're slowly going into this perspective where it's like, okay, I'm getting angry, but I'm going to handle it in a way where it's like, I'm going to address this issue to get this energy in check. Okay, and they're not going to be able to web their way out of the situation. Okay, so like I said, that anxious attachment that's going on in your energy, that's something that should not be played with you, because like I said, you guys have that inner knowledge, okay, that emotional understanding and that practical wisdom to know what's going on. Okay, and you guys see it. That could have been a major reason why you got this person on arm's length, because you had that inner knowing from just seeing their brief interaction that they could be toxic. Okay, let's get into some further messages with the Life Happens Oracle deck. Let's see what else is going on here. Pull 5 cards for you guys. Oh, needy. Needy. That's the first card that came out. Let's see here. We got intimacy in reverse. It came out in reverse. You guys try not to force that relationship. New outlook. Okay, let's get 2 more cards. Is your time. And one more card for you guys. Shadow self. And there's actually one more card came out in rock bottom. Okay, here. All right, let's get started with that. You had this needy energy. This person is just, they want to be needed in the situation by any means necessary. They get destructive to be needed. Okay, and that's something that you're like, I'm not trying to play around with your destructive behavior. Okay, I don't need you for anything. Okay, like I said, having that anxious attachment style, that anxious type of nature in any type of relationship pushes people away. Okay, and this person could really get that validation from being in their family as far as being needed in any direction. Okay, and that's just like a wounded perspective, because they can never really grow into any type of intimacy, rather it's friendship, rather it's, like I said, a good colleague, rather it's a neighbor. All their relationships wind up really in the trash, because they don't understand healthy boundaries to really look at the new type of outlook in any type of situation. Okay, they're struggling to grasp how their behavior can be off-putting to people. Okay, it's like, just because you see someone and they have this charismatic behavior, they're charming. Okay, they give cool guy, cool girl type of energy. Okay, if you don't know how to be the proper friend, or be that proper type of person with the right type of boundaries in situations, you're not gonna draw anything to you. Okay, you're not gonna draw anything to you. You're gonna push things away. Okay, it's gonna be that toxic type of perspective. Okay, and it's your time, collective, to speak up. It's your time to speak up. It's your time to say, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. You're being firm about it. Okay. Some of you guys could have a conversation with this person. Okay. Especially if it's someone like in your environment that's, like I said, trying to forge a friendship, or a neighbor that's in your new, you're in a space where you're with a new neighbor or anything like that, for that matter. You're having that conversation where it's like, okay, time's up. I'm telling you about yourself. Okay. Okay, this is I think you guys got to rip that Band-Aid off to let someone know, look, this behavior is just really not appropriate. Okay, this is something you're struggling with, your inner child here. Okay, some of you guys, like I said, this is someone that wants to date you, and they're like trying to figure out why you're apprehensive about it. You're telling them about themselves. You're like, okay, we're gonna get some coffee, we're gonna get some tea, and we're gonna talk about this. Okay, this is the reason why this is not gonna move forward. Okay, and for them, it's gonna feel like rock bottom, because they had no type of knowledge as far as realizing that they give this type of energy towards people. Okay, and sometimes you got to hit rock bottom to understand and learn. Some of you guys know that lesson already. Like, sometimes you have to have that rock bottom moment to say, you know what, this is not working. I got to go about some changes, because what I'm doing to other people is really toxic, and I can't go about really forging good type of appropriate type of intimacy with others around me without knowing that I don't have to be in a space where I have to be needed all the time in any type of interaction. Okay, that's unhealthy. Okay, it's giving, like I said, a very toxic energy, and like I said, a person like that could really be drawn to a lot of abusive relationships. And I think that's what you guys are telling them, like, okay, you know what, it's time for you to identify this shadow self in you, because if you don't fix this, you could be drawn to a lot of toxic things. Okay, like I said, this person could feel at that rock bottom perspective, especially if it's like in a work situation where Hey, they could have leadership telling them about themselves for the first time. They never heard it. Okay, they're really realizing that with difficult situations, excuse me, they're realizing with difficult situations and difficult people, they tend to lie or do manipulative tactics to get people to be needed on them. Let's see, where's that needed card? Okay, and they can have leadership pointing that out, and it puts them in that rock bottom perspective, guys. Okay. All right, guys, let's close your reading. I'm going to pull from your, let's see which deck I'm going to use for you guys to close it up here. I'm going to use the Love and Career Oracle deck here. Let's see what message they're going to say with that. Let's see here. All right. Oh, let's see. Harbor of peace, okay? Find secret refuge in the peaceful embrace of a gentle harbor, allowing tranquility to still your waters. You guys are in a peaceful space, okay? You guys are in a peaceful space. You're no longer trying to, balance someone else's emotions. And this is something that this energy has to learn, okay? I think, like I said, with seeing you as that swan energy, sometimes, like I said, when you're looking at somebody in your environment and you're like, wow, this person is great. This person has like a great type of personality. But like I said, I'm trying to find that swan card for you guys. It disappeared from me, but I'm just going to finish the message. But when you see that type of energy around you, you can sort of say, oh, wow, this is a great person. But that doesn't mean that you have to attach to that person and cling to them, okay? And this person is realizing that you can, respect someone's peace, respect someone's boundaries, okay? When they're not looking to invest, you can't force the investment. All right, guys, this is your reading for your collective August reading. Looking forward to talking to you soon. Have a good one.
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.